This here is a super weird PC case. It's from a company called darkFlash. And if you're anything like me, you've never heard of darkFlash. Long story short, I came across this case on Amazon a few days ago and thought it would be an interesting one for this little mini playlist we've been keeping up here. Some of the previous cases have not been all that impressive. They've made many compromises, and this case looks to have made a few, although I might be wrong here. Not only does it have a very unique color, which you'll see here in a second, but it also has a very unique layout in that you can see everything from the right side of the case instead of the left. That, on top of the fact that I've never heard of darkFlash before, means that this is going to be a total new experience for me and potentially you. Are you ready? We're going to build in this thing. Stay with me. PC Building Simulator 2 is the brand new innovative sequel to the successful franchise where you can build and grow your very own computer repair enterprise. It includes a vastly expanded feature set with improved graphical fidelity and quality. You can customize your workshop and even PC cases, and you'll enjoy a royalty-free soundtrack for peace of mind while streaming and uploading content around it. The graphics are again ultra crisp and true to life. Sequenced RGB is very realistic, and even cables and builds look much more, shall we say, natural. It was one of my only complaints with the original game. You can take advantage of new tools like thermal imaging cams, power monitors, custom water blocks, all packaged into a brand new career story, or just build for fun. So if you're interested in playing, and trust me, if you're watching this channel, you should be, consider adding PC Building Simulator 2 to your Epic Game Store wishlist. Just click the sponsor link below to get started today. So here's what you get on the box. It's pretty straightforward. It says max up to a 240mm radiator, so this case is not compatible with 360mm AIOs. Unfortunately, the CPU tower cooler clearance doesn't look to be too great either. 167mm. You can fit up to 5 fans. It does have dust filters. It does support fairly long graphics cards, and it does have USB 3.0. So, you know, if a case is advertising that it has USB 3.0 connectivity, it's probably not like super revolutionary. It does say fly to unlimited at the bottom. Fly to unlimited. The more I read that, the funnier it sounds. Look, to be honest, a lot of these cases that are not only manufactured in China, but also designed there, their marketing material just ships with the case. And most of it's in Mandarin, right? Some form of Chinese. And that raw conversion to English, there's some pretty big gaps to fill. My wife speaks a bit of Mandarin, and she'll tell me that there's like words in English that don't exist in Chinese and vice versa. So sometimes it just comes out like fly to unlimited. I think we know what they're trying to say, but just so you have an idea what you're getting yourself into. By the way, I always see the comments like, oh, it's made in China, what do you expect? My friends, a lot of very popular cases on the market are made in China. You should probably check the back of your case. But anyway, let's get this thing open. I'm gonna slide the box out upside down and check it out. You can already see this case. Ow, God, I almost get shocked right away. This case is mint green. Yeah, it's mint green. I tried to find custom cables to match this case, and I couldn't find any. It's a very unique color scheme, and it could potentially clash with a lot of PC parts out there, so be very, very cautious going into this. So you can immediately see the internal layout of this chassis is just a bit strange. So this area up top, I initially thought was for a power supply, like a top-mounted unit, but it's actually where you connect your graphics card. These are the PCI slot covers. They're facing upwards. Yeah, so you actually, instead of having your motherboard sit upright, you rotate it 90 degrees to the right, so now everything's gonna be 90 degrees to the right. I don't know where I was going with that. So a few things you'll probably notice with this right off the bat. There is no basement roof, which is an interesting design choice. You're going to be able to see everything down here, which is going to look a bit tacky. I think they had to do this though, because remember, with the board rotated to the right, you're going to have all your connections, like your 24 pin, your SATA power, all that stuff will be at the bottom here. So maybe it was just going to be a bit too quirky. I don't know. I do like this though. This swiveling door is pretty cool. You get captive thumb screws. That's pretty cool. I didn't expect that. And if you're wondering about connectivity, that is the big question here. Since everything is shifted to the right, you've got all your connections essentially up top here. So you can just remove this little panel. You can see we've now got access to all of our PCIe slots. We've got access to motherboard rear I/O, and all those cables that you'll connect to your peripherals, etc., will run through this little rubber grommeted cutout here at the back. So you'll need a bit of extra cable length, but I don't think it's like a huge compromise. I actually think it's kind of cool. Behind the left side panel, it looks decent, right? We've got about ½ an inch or a little more than that worth of cable management space behind the motherboard tray. I'd like to see a bit more, but it's not the end of the world. Of course, you got your basement for your power supply, hard disk drive cage as well, and then we've got two 2.5-inch SSD trays further up. I'm a bit bummed though about the front panel. You can see we've got ventilation along both sides, but the actual front of the front panel is totally sealed off. So this will not be one of the cooler cases on the market. And to round out this little tour, you get a pretty lackluster front I/O selection. We've got our microphone jack, headphone jack, 2 USB 3.0 Type A ports. I think this is a reset switch here, and your power button with a built-in LED. Not sure if this is just a power LED or a hard disk drive LED. Some people care about that, but we'll find out when we power the system on. Speaking of, let's go ahead and build in this thing, and I have just the platform. Actually, one you've seen in many other videos in the series. This is the LGA 1700 platform for Intel's latest and greatest 12th gen CPUs. And I think the 12600K will serve us just fine here. Just lift the socket lever. We're gonna pull back on the cover here. Everything is keyed, so you should only be able to do this one way, unless you're, I don't know, taking a jackhammer to it all, which I don't advise you do. We'll put the cover back down, and we'll lower the socket lever once more. This little plastic cover comes right up. Go ahead and get our M.2 installed. I love that it's toolless with this MSI board. You just turn a little thing here at the back, and it's locked in place. Now we're ready for the marriage. This is gonna be pretty straightforward, although the orientation's a bit off. And I think what I'm gonna do is install our 240mm AIO. Let's see if I can get this situated. Yep, right here. I'm gonna install it right here. I think it makes a lot of sense here. We can have everything exhaust out the rear of the case. I did try to mount a 360mm up front. It does not work, folks. Yeah, don't even try it. Super frustrating that it doesn't work because the only reason why is this little front IO box here. If this wasn't here, if it was slightly taller, the case overall, you could fit a 360 up front. So I think the fact that they missed the mark there is a huge blow to this case in terms of hardware compatibility. And with this platform tightened down, we can move on to the AIO. Actually, I just realized, hold on a second. We don't have DDR5 in here. Where's our memory? A trusty kit of Corsair DOM Plats. Again, DDR5, super fast. That's more like it. It is so weird installing DDR5 face down like this. Something's just not right here, right? And now with our smaller cables wired up, we can move on to the AIO installation, which again, we're gonna put back here, which might not be the way they intended it, but I think it's gonna look the best. I think we got it right where we want it, although the tubing direction and twisting is gonna be super weird. Is this even gonna work? Oh my gosh. So let's just tighten this down here at the rear. Chuck on some thermal paste. I think we'll do an X pattern, just a little more, and yeah, something like that should be okay. And we'll lock down the block. I decided to go dragon facing down just because on our motherboard it's kind of there's nothing we can do, right? Dragon's gonna be facing down here, so might as well make the match. Otherwise, it's gonna look a bit more tacky, in my opinion. For our power supply, we'll go with the Corsair RM850X. And because it's proven to be pretty much impossible to color match this case, which I'm told by my wife is not even mint green, it's more like a turquoise color, apparently. I don't know, maybe I'm colorblind. A lot of guys actually are, at least partially, colorblind. So there's that. I just went with black cables. These are custom sleeve cables. They plug directly into the power supply. We're gonna be able to see all this stuff, remember, through the basement because there is no basement roof. So I just, yeah, wanted to keep it clean. We'll set it in the case. Ooh, okay. So we're gonna have to kind of wiggle it in this way. I guess we could also set it in from behind. But this is, I mean, this is definitely weird. It's weird, but it works. I guess there's really no like apparent downside to this, other than the fact that you can obviously see everything from above. It's so weird how like all of our major connections are now so close to the power supply. Like I have all this extra cable length I've just kind of shoved here between the front of the basement and the power supply itself, because I don't know what to do with the cable length. We just don't need it anymore because of the layout. Now at the front panel, if you can see, we do have this integrated dust filter. It looks like it's just, yeah, it's just magnetic and it kind of hinges on this side, so that's nice. I'm gonna place 3 fans on the inside. One thing to note, this case doesn't appear to come with any fans at all, so whatever the MSRP of this is, which I ordered this myself, but I forgot what I paid. We'll check it at the end of the video. You'll wanna add 20 or 30 bucks to that because you'll definitely need a few extra fans to get air into this case because it is a bit restricted up front in terms of airflow. Now cable management has turned out quite nice, actually better than I initially expected. There's still not a lot of clearance behind the motherboard tray, and this entire, I mean, this covers like the whole case. It's just one flat panel. So again, about ½ an inch, maybe a little more than that, but I don't see any obvious issues. We're gonna be able to close this panel with ease. The other saving grace of this case is that there are tons of zip tie points. So you can route these cables however you need, kind of finesse them, so to speak, so that you can get these, you know, tucked away as far as possible so that you don't have issues getting that right panel secured. Actually, hold on. This is the left panel. Everything's backwards in this case. Sorry. The final piece of our puzzle then is the RTX 2080 Super. This is a Founders Edition model, and you can see it is quite flashy. Hi, how you doing? It's, you know, it's something different. It's not a typical like all black card. The shroud has a lot of silver in it, a bit of a mirror-like finish as well. And I think this will fit nicely. You know, the case just pops, and this will too. Maybe it'll distract from the fact that everything else in there is black and does not match that mint green / turquoise outer shell. Such a weird layout. I'm still not totally over how strange this is. Installing a graphics card upright. It's like, it's not upside down, it's just upright. So it's not even like most inverted cases out there. If I can get the card to slot in, there we go. Yeah, that just looks strange. But hey, at least we don't need to worry about graphics card sag. I mean, honestly, like, I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not. That's a pretty big upside in my view. I've literally just resorted to shoving excess cabling between the power supply and this front side of the basement. I mean, from eye level, right? I mean, with the case, you're not going to be seeing all this down here, and I wanted to keep this front area clean because that you probably will notice if there are just some stray cables laying around. So in the essence of keeping things clean, I just, I just did what I could with this one. So to quickly recap, this is what it looks like from one side of the case, and this is what it looks like from the other side. I think this is pretty clean. It's very unique. Anyone who knows PCs will know that this is not a conventional layout. I think that's one of the coolest talking points about this case. It doesn't take much to rotate everything 90 degrees, and yes, there are a few weird compromises, like having to run all your cables through a top rubber grommet here. But it's different, and I think this take is actually pretty cool. I think I'm gonna add a capture card to this build. Lisa's probably really gonna like this, and she'll probably want to use it for her streaming later on, so go ahead and get this set up for her. I am a bit bothered by the fact that this AverMedia card has a red logo. I might cover that with a bit of tape, just so that it doesn't clash with the rest of the color scheme here, although it's a bit clashing already. I think that just makes it way worse. I know it's not a huge deal, it's a very small logo, but still. Now we just need to make sure that it powers on. It'd be embarrassing if not. I do have my wife's M.2 in here, so it should, there it goes. So it should just boot into Windows. Wow, it looks pretty sweet in there. Yes, all right. And that's it, folks. That's good news. We just need to hop into the BIOS and set up a few things, and Lisa's got an upgrade. She was on, I think, 11th gen, or maybe even 10th gen, but I think I'm gonna keep it here, 12th gen. We might switch cases or something in the future, but she might like this. I don't know, we'll have to get her impressions of it. By the way, I've had a serious cold for the past like 2 or 3 days. I'm trying my best to avoid showing you that on camera, but sometimes like my nose just gets super stuffy like it is right now, and it starts pouring like a faucet. It's really gross. I apologize if this is bothering you, but I've gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised by this case. The only real functional downside that I can find is the lack of great airflow at the front. The front panel is pretty restrictive, so you know, placing 3 fans up here I think was a must, and that is going to raise the price of the case a bit. I think that the lack of a basement roof is a bit of an eyesore, although I realized when I installed this card that the reason why they don't have a roof here is because some of these cards are super long, and a roof would prevent you from installing those longer cards. So I think this is a worthy trade-off, although yeah, it is going to involve a bit more finesse up front here. The only real question then is price, because if this comes out to be, I don't know, I'd say under $100, like there's nothing super exceptional about this case, so if it's over $100, it's a bit of a premium. But you know, you've got to factor in the extra case fans as well that you're lacking, I guess, in this instance. You need to add about 2 or 3 of those to make up for the lack of airflow up front. And I'm not sure if we're gonna make it. So let's just find out. I've got my phone here now. I did buy this myself again, but I didn't really pay attention to the price because unless it's like thousands of dollars, I don't really care because I just write it off. But I would say it's somewhere between 100 and 120 bucks. I'd be surprised if it was cheaper than that, although I wish it was. Let's see, darkFlash V22 mint green. See, they call it mint green. Okay, so it's called mint green here in the listing. I'm just gonna stick with that. It is listed for $100, $99.99 as of time of filming. That is decent. I mean, it could be worse. You know, I was thinking more like 120. You're gonna be spending about 120 anyway when you package in 3 extra fans or so, but for the, you know, unconventional layout, the crazy color schemes, $100 isn't that bad. I thought it would be worse. So it's going to be tough to end on a negative note here. I mean, I'm really trying to fault this case where I can. And again, apart from airflow up front, this thing's impressed me. And again, I want to disclose I've never ever worked with darkFlash before. I didn't even know that was a PC case company. I might have worked with a case or two in the past, especially when we were fixing viewer systems, but I never really paid attention to the brand because it's not one I've ever worked with. I've never really sought out their cases before. But I mean, this is really something. It's different than the status quo, and they didn't really compromise too much to pull off this look. I mean, it's so cool looking. I really dig it. I do. It's different, and I'm a little jealous that my personal rig doesn't have the same kind of layout. You know, I know it's a bit weird. You're gonna have to add a few extra, inches, maybe a foot or so to your cable length to get things to reach here where they need to for display out. But other than that, I think the only other downside again is airflow. So if you can, work it out in your budget, $100 or so, I think it's a pretty sweet deal. Just to be different, right? And in today's world, it's very difficult to be different. So this case might allow you to edge that out a bit more. And I think the icing on the cake here is this swivel right side panel. I almost said left side panel, but remember, everything is reverse in this one. Let's see if I can actually get it to, there we go, okay. I mean, it's a bit tinted, but not to the point where I feel like it's a waste to even have it. You're gonna be able to see very clearly through here, and it just rounds it out nicely. It's a cool case, it really is. On that note, if you guys enjoyed watching this video, give this one a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and let me know in the comment section what you think of the darkFlash V22. I'm impressed, folks. I really am. If you haven't already, click that bell notification icon so you get notified when videos like these go live. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for building with me.